Hi, I'm Tom. I'm going to be walking you through FlashLearn, the vocabulary learning app that I've been working on. We'll start off by just looking at the user persona and then move on to some early prototypes and then some developments and then move on to what I've learned through the process. So we'll just not waste any time and jump straight into it. First, we want to outline the competitive analysis that we undertook. So we looked at I looked at three different learning apps: WordUp, TinyCards, and Quizlet. These three apps have kind of shaped the direction of the process, really. Quizlet was particularly helpful. I found TinyCards was just an add-on of Duolingo, so I was quite critical of that app, and WordUp was slightly overcomplicated. So Quizlet was where I wanted to be moving to with my project, and that kind of shaped my early thoughts. But to outline our proto-persona, who is the target of our app, is I want you to meet Sarah Bates. She's 27-year-old digital marketing executive who's English and she's from London. And what are her goals and motivations in using the app? She wants to build upon her basic understanding of French. She wants to learn using quick, fun and easy exercises. And she wants a competitive element to keep her motivated. So in order to put this into a bit of a quote, I've studied French before, but I stopped practicing after I left school. I want to refresh and build upon my language skills using the few free hours of spare time I have every day after work. So this raises a few problems that I really wanted to solve using the app, using FlashLearn. So the problem brief: Sarah has a busy work and social life and she needs a way to develop her French language skills around her tight schedule. She is in need of a fun and motivational app that taps into her competitive spirit. So we're going to highlight three really important sections. I'll keep on referring back to these as we go through the process. She has a limited study time, she needs positive reinforcement, and she wants it to be fun and competitive, and they're the three essential parts. So our hypothesis statement is: we believe that by creating this experience for Sarah, she can learn vocabulary in a fun and motivational way. She will be able to tap into a competitive spirit in the completion of activities and track her progress throughout her development using regular and realistic achievements. So we see three major problems here. So I wanted to encapsulate these three major problems into the dashboard. So we put together some crazy eights and spent 1 minute doing 8 sketches. And you can really see I'm trying to visually present these three sections. And after doing these 8 sketches, we kind of come out with a wireframe on the right-hand side. So you can see really trying to outline the progress section, so you can track her progress, and then we can see the practice section with the fun activities, and then the learning vocabulary as the vocab groups at the bottom. So this is the main layout for the dashboard, and I'll come to picking it apart and see what's wrong with it later, but this was our first wireframes. So to move on to the tracking progress, like I said, another essential part: Sarah wants to keep learning by viewing her progress. She wants that positive reinforcement, so we want to encourage Sarah to keep learning. So we can see I've really tried to present using graphs, so I can see the amount of words that she's learned using percentages, or the amount of hours she's learned, or how many words she's learned per day. And I ended up splitting this into 3 cards on the wireframe. So you've got the leaderboard, stats, and high scores. So the leaderboard and the high scores really tap into that competitive edge that Sarah wanted. So Sarah can compete against friends by viewing leaderboards and high scores. She can also see her own stats over the week or over a month or over a year in the form of a graph to just see how many words she's learning, how much she's picking up, and that's that real positive reinforcement that she's looking for. So we did do user flows to really view what Sarah's easiest path to complete essential tasks is. So we can see here she can start on the dashboard, tap into the 3 cards, and then swipe between them, and she can return to the dashboard if she wants to at any point. So it just makes it really easy to complete this task. Another section was really important, was for it to be fun and competitive. So one of the tasks that I've created as part of the app is card matching, which is part of the practice section. So you can see you can tap into practice in the top left and then move down to the card match activity, or you can pick another activity if you'd like, and then you select your vocab group and you start the activity, do the activity, and then it will spit out a points system and also a time, so you can beat your best points and you can beat your best time. So that's really looking at Sarah. She wants to learn using quick and fun activities, and she wants it to be competitive, so this activity really meets that goal. And again, the user flow, we're looking at the easiest path to complete essential tasks. So she can move from the dashboard, she chooses her activity, chooses a vocab group, and then starts the activity. When she finishes, she can start with a new vocab group, or she can retry and start the activity again to really make sure she understands what she's learning. So once we had our wireframes finished, we put together a basic rapid prototype, and then we did a usability test plan, which is rigorous testing by examining participants' ease of navigation in practicing vocab groups, using activities, and also tracking learning process. So we did 10-minute sessions with 5 participants, and I came up with 4 direct tasks, which were a bit simpler, but then I fleshed them out into scenario tasks to really give participants something to, not much to grab onto, but so they can put themselves in the shoes of someone who's actually using the app. So the first question is, or task is, you finish creating a vocab group, practice this vocab group using a game. The second one, you've been using this app for a month, view how many words you've learned this month, and then view how many words you've learned this week. I really wanted to see how easy it was to switch between day, month, week and year, just to see if those icons were clear enough on the cards. Number 3, you want to learn 2 different vocab groups, complete a card match activity, then return to a new vocab group. So I wanted to see how easy it was to rectify errors if you have finished or you want to go back, how easy are the buttons to navigate to return, do you know where you're returning to, etc. Number 4, you want to compare your learning progress to friends, check your activity high scores, then check your leaderboards. So I want to see, are the cards clear enough to scroll through? Is it clear how to navigate to those certain sections? So the test results, well, we expected there to be a lot of errors and failures, and there were, so I've rated these errors on the Jakob-Nielsen's error severity scale. So 4 being a catastrophic disaster and they really need to be changed, and 0 being not a problem or an error at all. So on the dashboard screen, there was a bit of confusion about what the icons mean and why they're there. You can see it says leaderboard and score in the practice section, whereas you have to click into the progress section to see the leaderboards and your scores. So that makes no sense them being there. It just clutters it up. It doesn't need to be. It just makes it really unclear. So you can see the dashboard being unclear and those icons, they're both error severity of the 3. And the solution to this is remove the icons and replace with text which outlines each section. Just really simple, simplify it down. We can use icons to symbolize these sections. But those little leaderboard and score just doesn't need to be there at all, really. And if we move down to the bottom, the high scores and the leaderboards, a big problem, one of the participants asked, how do I connect with friends? Now, I was planning to include this in a different part of the app, but the fact it wasn't clear to users was a real problem. And something that is essential. Connecting with friends is a real way to add value to the app. If you can get more people competing against each other, more people inviting friends linked to social media, then that's essential for adding value. So I really wanted to add this in. So the solution to this is include a login or sign up screen so users can sign up via social media, connect easily with friends, just making it extra clear to the users that they can do this and they should do this as part of the experience. And at the bottom, how do I get to the next card? Only an error severity of a 2, but still, I thought the overlapping cards on the leaderboard and the high scores and the stats were clear that you needed to swipe to go and move on to the next card, but apparently that wasn't clear enough. So I think the solution would be to add in arrow icons to symbolise the swipe functionality. So to move on to the next section, a big question was, what do I need to do to complete activities when doing the card match? Now, it was probably quite naive of me to think that it was easy and you should know what to do when completing a card match activity, but this obviously wasn't the case. So the solution is offer a detailed explanation of the activity on the play screen. The play button doesn't need to be this big, and you can definitely add a few bullet points just to explain what you need to do. You're against the clock and this is how you get points. To really build up to the start of an activity, I guess. And to move down to the bottom, why can't I add more vocab during this stage? So when you're selecting your vocab group, there's not an option to add new vocab, apart from if you go back to the home screen or move to one of the icons at the bottom of the screen. So yeah, this doesn't really make sense. It's not something I'd considered. So it would be good to add that in if we did have extra time. So the solution would just be add a plus card to the existing list, and then people can create within that activity. So the improvements. In the second batch of wireframes, this is what we really look at the usability testing and improve our wireframes as a result. So you've got a simplified dashboard with helpful section info. So I just moved the vocab groups down, added scroll icon so it's quite clear that you need to swipe to move on to the next vocab group, but also in the practice section of the progress, just outline what's in each section. There's enough room to do it, so the icons weren't needed on the left-hand side, so I just removed them and simplified it all down. Moving on to the bottom, the high scores and the leaderboards. The sign-up screen has been added right at the start as someone downloads the app, and this shows that you can sign in with Google or Facebook and you can connect with friends. You can also sign in with your email or if you've already got an account, sign in. And I've also added these swipe icons, just small arrows which symbolise that you can swipe to the next section. More improvements, how-to screen before start of activities, really simple, 3 bullet points. As you start an activity, you can match cards together, you're working against the clock and you get more points for less errors. Just makes it way clearer for when people don't need to think anymore, all the information's there for that particular section. And we also added a new vocab group, a new vocab. You can add more vocab at the bottom before you start an activity, sorry. So what are the next steps and the further improvements? The app is by no means definitely ready, and there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot that we can develop. So how can we show Sarah the app functionalities when she first signs up? I'd love to include an onboarding process to walk her through the features, to really show her what's possible on the app and what's the best way to be using it. Number 2, how can the app encourage Sarah to learn different vocab groups? Really want to develop the search section to discover new vocab groups, existing vocab lists and things that she can be really interested in and just sign up and she can compete against existing lists with friends. And also, how can we develop the app's competitive element? So I really want to expand the leaderboard section and expand the profile section to see how she can challenge people to a certain activity on a certain vocab group. This really increases the ability to spread the word on the app, and again, this is just adding value to the product. So what are the main learnings and takeaways from the process? So I've really learned the importance of the user persona. It's been a constant theme, and Sarah's been something that I've arched back to every decision. So that's been really important. Remain ambiguous during usability testing. Let participants make mistakes. That's how we learn. So I'll come on to this a little bit more in the con section. But I really felt like I could have made the questions a little bit more ambiguous, let people figure it out for themselves. I think I showed too much of my hand when going through the usability testing. And also, making mistakes is important. That's why they're rapid wireframes. I think my first Crazy 8 that I tested on the dashboard, I was far too detailed and I ran out of time. I only did 4 or 5. And it's not about making things perfect now. Let's leave that for when we're doing the actual design and we know where everything needs to be and everything makes sense and everything's easy to use. So what are the pros? I think the progress tracking section, I really liked how that turned out. The usability testing showed the sections were interesting and easy to use. And also the user persona, Sarah remained at the heart of the project. I was really happy with how she ended up being the heart of it, really. And the cons, lacked focus on the vocab itself. I'd really like to have fleshed out the card match and the flashcards itself. To really drill down into the focus of the app, which is learning new vocab, and also the search section which I've already mentioned. And I could have capitalised on the user testing further with a more removed approach. As I mentioned previously, I'd really like to have redone a couple of questions so I didn't use certain words and started to... I didn't want to suggest too much, basically. So thank you for listening. Cheers.